Her every feature was finely sculpted, and each blended so that her face was quite simply perfect. "Close your mouth," she snapped. He did, then opened it again to laugh. "Damn, you're lovely," he said, and he was intrigued to note that not even a scowl could make her face less than beautiful. She put her hands on her hips, continuing to glare. "Am I going to have to call the cops to get you off my land?" she demanded. Kelsey was trying to ignore the effect she was having on his senses, which was rather like trying to ignore a tornado while standing just under the funnel. You just might," he confessed, feeling somewhat dazed. And in the back of his mind, behind all the rational, logical reasons why he just couldn't, not now, a little voice was groaning, "Oh, hell, what lousy timing." She blinked, and humor shone briefly in her eyes before temper rose up again. She turned her head and whistled sharply between her teeth. Her teeth were lovely too, he noticed, and the jeans and t-shirt she wore did absolutely nothing to hide the fact that nature had been as wonderfully generous below her neck as above. Kelsey decided he was dreaming. He decided he didn't want to wake up. Then he became aware that something was growling near his left hip, and he tore his gaze from her to look down. He woke up in a hurry. It was disguised as a dog, but from the sound it was making, Kelsey deduced that it was either a grizzly bear or a Tasmanian devil. Its fangs looked perfectly capable of devouring a whole steer, a redwood tree trunk, or Kelsey's leg, which was what was closest at the moment. Careful to keep his voice mild, Kelsey asked, "What the hell is that?" "My dog. His name is Lobo. That means wolf. Lobo doesn't like strangers either. Now, unless you can show me a badge, state or federal, and a warrant, along with a gun big enough to frighten Lobo, you'd better clear out." "Right." He edged carefully back into his car and shut the door with absolute quiet, but then hesitated. Looking at the face he knew he'd never forget if he lived to be 100, he said quietly, "At least tell me your name." She stood with one hand on the bristling ruff of her dog and stared at him for a long moment. "Elizabeth Connor," she said, and seemed surprised that she'd said it. "Thank you. My name's Kelsey," he told her, and then started his car and drove away. The town was named Pinnacle, and it had never lived up to its christening. A sleepy little village with a city limit that was about a mile long and half as wide, it was tucked away in the countryside like a trail forgotten by time. The nearest interstate highway was 10 miles away, the nearest city of any size 100, and if it was on any state map, it boasted only a pinprick with which to mark its location. But as Kelsey drove his battered Ford slowly through 2 caution lights on Main Street, he decided that Pinnacle had, somewhere, an ace up its sleeve. He had spent nearly 2 hours driving all around Pinnacle before venturing in, and from that had concluded that the town would be a stagnating, dying one. There appeared to be few income-producing resources in the rural county, scant acres of usable, productive farmland, no river or stream of any size, nothing to attract tourists, one lone industrial plant called Meditron operating about 5 miles from town, and if a company or private individual was cutting timber, it was well hidden. So Kelsey had expected a dying town, one being slowly choked to death by its own limitations. He expected to see few young people, no new businesses or construction, and signs of decay everywhere. He was wrong on all counts. The downtown area boasted several establishments of considerable size, all in excellent repair and, judging by traffic along the busy sidewalks on a weekday,